it's Amy, and I'm here on the 1st of September to talk about the books that I read in the month of August. And most of them, I will admit, were from the Booktubeathon, but I did read 4 books after that, which I think is still great. I read 4 books in 3 weeks, which is still pretty fantastic. So just to give a brief rundown of what I read in the readathon, and I'll put a link down below to the couple of the videos I did for the wrap-ups that go more in detail of what I thought about the books and all of that jazz. So we'll just get started on the books. Okay, so 3 of the books I read were the 8th, 9th, and 10th of the Princess Diary series, which is Princess on the Brink, Princess Mia, and Forever Princess, or Princess Forever. I never get it right. And I would say that overall, the series came out at about a 3.75, maybe a 4. I enjoyed it. I thought it was funny for the most part, and I'm glad I read it. But I wouldn't say it's something that I would recommend, and it's not something I would read again. Okay, so those are 3 of the books, and then another 2 of the books I read were from this collection of 3 novellas. The first one I read was March Bride, and the second one was The May Bride. March Bride was by Rachel Hawk, and May Bride was by Meg Mosley. And I really liked March Bride. It was a continuation of another story that I'd read. I didn't really like May Bride. I thought it was done way too quickly. But overall, I would say if you're looking for some pretty decent novellas that are just kind of fun, I would recommend it. I think it's, it's weddings, and so it's kind of happy and fun, and yeah, so that's were 2 of the other books I read. And then the next book that I read was Lumberjanes, and the writers/illustrators are Stevenson, Ellis, Waters, and Allen. I highly recommend this. It's about 5 girls that go to summer camp and crazy stuff starts to happen. If you're looking for a cute, fun, really well written graphic novel, I would definitely recommend this book. This graphic novel. Yeah, okay, and then the last book that I read during the readathon was Calling Me Home by Julie Kibler, and I really enjoyed this book. It was fantastic. Again, I'll put a link down below to more of my thoughts on the readathon and all of the books that I read during that time. Okay, and then the first book that I finished after the readathon, I think this was the first book. It doesn't matter if it's not. And that is The Winter's Curse by Maria Rutkowski. So this book follows Kestrel, who is from a wealthy family, and Aaron, who is a slave, and she buys him from an auction, and the story just continues from there of how Aaron, who is part of the slave culture, the slave community, are a part of this community that was overtaken by Kestrel's people, and I really just enjoy this book. It was not what I was anticipating. I was anticipating a dystopian novel. I was anticipating fantasy, and it wasn't. It was, yes, it was set in a different world, than it wasn't set on Earth, but there wasn't any magical aspect to it. There was no, dystopian type. It was really just an adventure story about these 2 people falling in love, maybe, possibly, and what that really entails in their life, and where their status has put them. And I just thought it was well written. I thought that the war aspect was just really great. I thought the politics the politics worked, I just thought it was well researched and well written, and I really enjoyed this. I am definitely going to continue with this series, and I would recommend it if you are looking for a good YA story that has some war in it, has some politics, has some adventure, and just great writing. So that is The Winter's Curse by Maria Rutkowski. And then the next book that I finished was The Royal Wedding by Meg Habit. Guys, I don't understand why everyone loved this book. I gave it a 3 because it's Meg Cabot, and I think her writing is still fantastic. But yeah, I didn't like the direction that she took the characters. You encounter Mia when she is 26, and so she's gone through college, and she's, you know, still dating. I'm not going to tell you who she's dating because I feel like that kind of spoils it if you haven't gotten to the 10th book. And so she's still dating this person and possibly maybe getting engaged, and I just feel like Mia's attitude is very judgmental, is very self-deprecating still, but not in a funny way that it was when she was a teenager. It just is annoying. It's like, stop. Just stop, Mia. Stop it. You are self-absorbed and selfish, and you think you know better than everybody, and you don't, and you need to stop. Like, I just feel like she wreaks havoc and people applaud her for it. And I'm like, no, she's doing terrible things. Yes, maybe out of, you know, the right intentions, I guess, but she still just doesn't think before she acts, and I just don't like it, and I could not believe that she put this in there. But the mom is talking about why she didn't know if Mia should get engaged, get married. She's like, don't kids just sleep around? You should sleep around. What? What mother tells their daughter that she needs to go and sleep around? So dumb. And I also just thought it was a book that Meg Cabot was using to show her political views, and it didn't work with the story. And I just didn't like it. I don't see why people thought it was a great story. I think that, again, the movies really portrayed Mia in a better light. It made Mia into someone that girls would want to become. No one should want to become Mia or want to live in Genovia or want the royal family to actually rule, because they're the worst people ever. Oh my goodness. So that was my thoughts on The Royal Wedding by Meg Cabot. And then the next book I listened to All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han, and I don't understand. This is another book. I don't understand why people like this book so much. I think the premise and the idea were fantastic, and I feel like the beginning of the story was great, and then it just went downhill. From once like the letters were sent out, it just went downhill, and I don't know, I just thought I would get more about what the letters said and more of the reason why these letters were sent and why she loved these boys, and I don't know, and I just didn't like who she chose. In the end, I didn't like that, and especially because there's just certain events that happened and she forgave him, even though it's like, why would you forgive him for that? That's just wrong. And I don't know, I just think that she was very immature, and yes, she is 16 or 17, and so yeah, she's naive, she should be naive, and she should be immature, but I feel like she's too immature and too naive. And I didn't like the sister. I thought the sister overreacted in ways that shouldn't have been overreacted. And I don't know. I was expecting more from the story, and I think the story could have been great. And it just kind of fell flat for me. I think I gave this story a 3 or 3.5. I can't remember what I gave it, but it was okay. I wouldn't really recommend it. I do have to say it's really refreshing to find a YA book where the character is being pressured about sex and she chooses not to, because that has rarely happened in most of the books that I've read in YA. So I really appreciate that, and I do appreciate that the father is a decent man and he actually disciplines his children and is actually a part of their lives and isn't just this, you know, fleeting character. So that was that. And then the last book that I finished was Never Look Back by Linwood Barclay, and this is another book that I feel like it had great potential, and it just, I don't know, I think there was too much going on, and to get the storylines that he had together was really far-reaching. Like, it's like, really? Come on. And I knew exactly where the book was going at about page 100, and there's 400 pages. So I knew where the book was going, I knew what the twists were, and so it just kind of made it like, okay, I'm just gonna get through it, because like the writing was decent, and there were some things that I was a little like, oh, well, that's kind of interesting, but I saw them coming before they happened, like several pages before they happened. I was like, oh, I think I know where he's going with this, and yep, he did. So, it was okay. I may try to read another thing by him, because I think the writing was decent, but I don't know. We'll see. It was nice to read something that wasn't fantasy, wasn't YA, wasn't romance. I really enjoyed, like, having a different type of story. So I would like to read some more mystery thrillers. So if you have some good authors to read, then would love those recommendations. So those are the books that I read in the month of August. I read 11, which I'm pretty proud of myself. So it's 2 months in a row where I've read a pretty good chunk of books. I mean, thank you for the readathons that I participated in. But yeah, so let me know down below, guys, what are some of your favorite books that you read in the month of August. Let me know what you've thought, if you've read, you know, any of these books, what your thoughts were on them. And as always, guys, I will see you on the flip side. Bye! Bye! I get to go eat Taco Bell because my husband brought it home.